On today's episode of Bill and Frank's Guilt-Free Pleasures, we talk about the paradox of a song that you can get too fast, but then you take it slow.
We talk extensively about my allergies to the sun and why I would never go to a place like Kokomo.
And we try our best not to put so much hate on a man whose last name is Love.
This is our trip down to Kokomo by the Beach Boys.
Frank, apparently everybody knows a little place like Kokomo. Now, if you want to go to get away from it all, you would go there. Frank, where's your little Kokomo?
That would probably be actually Kokomo, Indiana, where the actual Kokomo exists.
I would like to think that it is like a maybe abandoned steel town and just full of a lot of sad people.
Oh, fingers crossed. It is just the absolute opposite of what the song Kokomo by the Beach Boys is actually all about.
Yeah. Did you ever go on like trips to sandy beaches and stuff when you were a kid?
No, because I'm basically vampiric, so I'm allergic to the sun.
That's right.
Sorry, no, that's a lie. My family has gone to Florida. Once my parents took my brother and I on a cruise, and I was a miserable, sullen teen for the entire thing because I didn't want to hang out with my parents. I've never really been an island kind of a guy.
Yeah. You're more like darkness.
Yeah, that's why I go to places like Finland in February.
That's right. There was a time we went to Ottawa and it was a cloudy day and we were on like an open bus tour and you got a really bad sunburn.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out the physics or how this works biologically.
I know.
But it was a moment where you look so defeated.
Yeah, the sun is my mortal enemy.
It is. You're like the opposite of Superman. You're like the bizarro Superman. So your Kokomo is Finland in February where you've dug up shark carcasses, or is that Iceland?
That's Iceland.
Okay, so...
Yeah, the rotted fermented shark meat, that was from Iceland. When I was in Finland, I asked, I want something that's traditionally Finnish for a meal. And the comment I got was, why? Our food is terrible. So obviously I love those places.
Yeah, okay, well there we go. So I think my Kokomo, I was trying to figure it out. Like as a kid, I did go to Florida once and I loved it.
Yeah.
It was just warm.
Yeah.
But I think I would like walk to the Welland Canal. That was my like quiet place.
Yeah.
And I watched the boats go in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's water adjacent, right?
Yeah, yeah. There was sand castles at the end. Do you remember
those?
those?
Yeah, the sand piles, yeah.
Yeah. And we would all just take sand from them and fill our sandboxes.
Is that what happened with them? I lived in St. David, so I don't understand what happened in St. Catharines, but I know about the sand piles.
Yeah. Okay. Our Kokomo is a Kokomo light here, but
yeah.
Okay.
Go down the Kokomo, Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I wanna take you through Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go down the Kokomo? We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down the Kokomo.
I just want to start off on a positive note because I know you're such a big Beach Boys fan.
Well, I grew up listening to the Beach Boys because my dad loved the Beach Boys.
Right.
And I do remember when Kokomo came out in 88, and
You're 11 now.
I'm 11.
And did it sort of seep into your system without you being critical of it?
I think I initially liked it because it came out in around the same time as Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin.
Same soundtrack.
Same soundtrack, yeah, from the Cocktail soundtrack.
Right.
And I remember liking both of those songs, but I have this vague vision in my mind of every time Kokomo came on and my dad was driving, just his shoulders would sort of like, oh, what has become of this once amazing band?
Yeah. Well, I would like to agree with you, but I just can't help it. This song just has a way of sticking with me. And I know it is despised.
Yeah.
But this is Bill and Frank's Guilt-Free Pleasures. I did bring this to the table, and once it's on, I'm listening to the whole song.
Is this one of the episodes where by the end, we're going to question whether we continue the podcast or not? because of a difference of opinions?
No, I think this is one where at the end of it, you'll say, you know what, Bill? I kind of like that song.
You're so optimistic about that. Has that ever happened yet?
It did. It has happened before.
Okay, Richard Marx.
That's
yes.
right. I was just going to reference that. Now, we're still waiting on Wonderful Christmas Time, but we got time. What I won't promise you is that you will love Mike Love by the end of this episode.
I think Mike Love is the only one that loves Mike Love.
Yeah, that's a tough last name for someone who made such a horrific heel turn in
yes.
19... What was it? Was it
It was
88?
87.
87
It
at
was the year before this song came out.
At the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But the Beatles got in that year too. Rolling Stones?
Beatles, Rolling Stones, and Aretha Franklin, I believe.
Right. And then the Beach Boys got in. And Mike Love was the last to speak because Brian Wilson spoke first.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a touching thing he read about the songs that mattered to him, the people in the room. And then Mike Love just spit acid for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It was tough.
We'll put a link to his speech in the show notes if you haven't seen it. But wow.
Yeah.
I know Mick Jagger won't be here tonight. He's going to have to stay in England. But I'd like to see us in the Coliseum and him Lemley Stadium because he's always been chicken shit to get on stage with the Beach Boys.
Wow.
I mean, that's not too far removed from when Andre turned on Hulk Hogan.
No, it was in around the same time, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so maybe there was something going around. Or he got the red kryptonite from Superman 3.
Oh, and turned evil, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But something tells me this was actually what Mike Love was all along.
Yeah.
We just were fooled by his last name.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the sweet harmonies that the Beach Boys have.
There's some sweet harmonies in this song. Would you give it up for...
The harmonies are there.
Okay, all right.
But it's not the same. Obviously, this is very different from the Beach Boys of the 60s.
Yeah.
This is in the middle of Reaganomics. It's the 80s. They're much older.
Yeah.
And they're very world weary, would you say?
They are. And now, when they release a song, I'm wondering, are they younger than we are right now? Let's find this out.
Yeah, so in 88, Mike Love is 47, so he's our age.
Right. I know I can speak for myself, and during this episode, I'm not an angry person. Frank, are you?
I have been angry in my life, yes.
Yeah, but you know what? Your anger kind of always stems from a...
Hatred of the sun, yeah.
No, like an indignation, like a moral anger, like a good anger.
Like the way Denzel Washington always burns with a righteous rage.
Yeah, you're like Frank on fire.
Yeah.
But this is like misanthropy. He kind of hates the world, and he sees everyone as his enemy. And he doesn't think Brian Wilson is that great. Like, at least the way he talks about things. Brian Wilson seems pretty gracious about Mike Love when he's not calling him an egotistical maniac.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I'll take that one back too. None of them really like each other. So they certainly make John Lennon and Paul McCartney seem like they got along just fine.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. We're not going to talk about the history of the Beach Boys because there's just too much.
There is so much.
And they are incredible.
Yes.
We just need to just state that the last number one hit they had was Good Vibrations. So just think about that as a high point of maybe music history.
Yeah.
To some degree. And then 22 years later, I think it's 22 years.
Yeah, it's 22 years. So Good Vibrations was in 66.
Ah, that feels a lot earlier than I realized.
Yeah.
Wow. 22 years later, Kokomo.
Yes.
And Mike Love, when he speaks about this, like I have footage of him at a concert talking about both of these songs, and he's kind of criticizing Good Vibrations, saying he doesn't understand it at all. But he said that this song and Kokomo are their highest selling singles. And he kept talking about how important Kokomo was.
Oh, serious?
I wonder why Mike Love wants to talk about Kokomo.
But Mike Love, let's give him credit where credit is due. He was a part of the songwriting team for
sure.
all of those big hits too, including Good Vibrations.
Yeah, and he had to sue his way to get credit for it.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's just, if only he was less prickly in interviews, it would be easier to root for him.
Yeah. And one of the stories I heard was they recorded the song and Brian Wilson then heard it on the radio because he had nothing to do with this song.
Right.
And he thought, it's like, oh, wow, that's a fun sounding song. And then he realized, oh, shoot, that's a Beach Boys song.
Right.
How come I'm not on this thing?
Right. And so this is why possibly Mike Love loves this song so much.
Yeah.
Is because Brian Wilson isn't involved at all.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so he can give full credit to himself. Also, there's various stories about why Brian Wilson couldn't be there. So in interviews, and Mike Love gives a lot of interviews where he gives various stories, but one of them was Brian Wilson couldn't come because he was under the influence of Eugene Landy, the psychiatrist or whatever, who was
Svengali who was pulling the strings.
That's right. And it turns out from like biographers that the timing wasn't right for what he was claiming. And then Brian Wilson had said that he actually got a call like 4 hours before they were going to record Kokomo. And he said something like, "Oh, I can't make it." But then he didn't realize it was this big song.
Yeah.
Brian Wilson is on the Spanish version of Kokomo.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. And he's in the Full House episode, which we will talk about.
That's right.
Don't you worry. We're going to get to that too. Let's talk this song history though, Frank.
So the song was originally written by John Phillips, so the Mamas and the Papas.
Right.
And Scott McKenzie, who had a song with...
If you're going to San Francisco.
What band was that with again? Or was it just Scott McKenzie?
Scott McKenzie.
That's it? Oh, geez.
I only know that from the Forrest Gump soundtrack. I know people don't like Forrest Gump. I learned a lot about songs from the 60s from that movie that weren't kind of included in oldie stations.
Yeah. I learned a lot about history.
Yeah, that's Forrest right. Gump. You would have known that whole smiley face emoji thing. Was that it? And poop happens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that they serve Dr. Pepper at the White House.
I don't know if I can rewatch that movie.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Okay.
Anyways, so those two originally write this song, and these are two artists who are deep in the sort of 60s vibe, right? Or the whole hippie movement of the late 60s.
Right. And so they write a song about a place called Kokomo, and that's John Phillips' idea.
Yeah.
And it's a whimsical type of song. In terms of, whimsical is not the word. What's the word where you're looking back on?
Wistful.
Wistful.
Yeah.
So this is a wistful song about a place they used to go to that seems to no longer be there.
Yeah, and the demo version of it is a yacht rock song.
Technicolor nights, coloring Kokomo, making love on the beach while the locals do the go-go. Down in Kokomo, and wasn't it good?
It's pretty pleasant, but it also is odd to be from the
toothless.
80s. I don't mind it. I think we talked about this. Whales are toothless, at least in my head.
Yeah.
And they're totally not toothless, are they? But, like kind animals are toothless. But the way this song sounds feels like they are 10 years off. So this is... I don't know when this demo is, sometime in the mid-'80s, but Yacht Rock's kind of over by 82, I think. At least according to the Yacht Rock specialists.
Yes, yeah. They have this song and they bring it to... Did they bring it over to Mike Love? Or does Mike Love just kind of hear it?
I think he hears about it. I think it's one of those things where you have songwriters out there with songs, the way we talked about with Something to Talk About. That there'd be these songs existing, people know about it, and then...
It just sort of picks up with someone.
Picks up. Yeah. So this one has there's some significant differences, of course, with what changes, but their chorus is different. And wasn't it good? All the things we tasted, nothing we did was ever wasted. Every moment lingering like lovers' fingers on the strings of our lives. At least we gave it a try.
And wasn't it good? All the things we tasted, nothing we did was ever wasted. Every moment lingering like lovers' fingers on the strings of our lives. At least we gave it a try.
That's kind of defeatist.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a tough one. That's not what Mike Love's about, is he?
Mike Love's about Mike Love.
He's about
and Kokomo.
He's about the present.
Yeah.
So Mike Love is going to hear this song or hear the demo, and he's going to change things. Now, the whole reason that he's thinking of this song is because they've been given an offer.
Yeah, to write a song for the movie Cocktail.
Right.
With Tom Cruise.
Right. So there's all these connections with Paramount Studios and different execs who want the Beach Boys involved. And they have somebody who's like, I don't know if it's like an agent or a hype man. I know it's not a hype man, but I have it written somewhere here. As you can see, I have a lot of articles in front of me, but I'm not going to look it up. But there's somebody trying to get them onto soundtracks.
Yeah.
And so Mike Love said,
Like a publicist?
yeah, that sounds like a good word.
Yeah.
So Mike Love said in the Billboard Book of Number Ones, let me grab this one here. He said, we read the script. I'm like, we? Is I guess maybe he and Terry Melcher, because this is his buddy we'll talk about in a moment here. I got the feeling and the mood of the section where Tom Cruise left New York for Jamaica. They played us the part of the film where the plane swoops in over Jamaica. We put in the tropical languid sounds of the steel drums and the congas. We flavored it like a tropical breeze.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
there's a whole bunch of things here. One is, because I watched Half a Cocktail last night,
Yeah.
Ashley is a lovely person and a devoted wife to watch this with me, because clearly this was not her thing.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of excited by it because I know it's really bad, but it's so watchable.
Yeah.
But I also stopped watching it when I thought Tom Cruise might cheat on Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to go there.
No.
You told me there's some dark turns it takes.
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
Nah, I'm not ready. I'm 45 minutes in. But anyways, I watched the part where that swoops in. So he would have had to read that whole script. It's not a very good movie.
No.
Tom Cruise is always very good.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it watchable. All the actors are quite good, but the movie's quite bad.
Yeah.
So I imagine Mike Love reading it like, yeah, this is great. Like, how is this even possible?
And Mike Love is thinking, hey, I have this bad song for this bad movie.
Oh, all right, we're there. Did you already mention you didn't like this song?
I am not a big fan of it.
Okay.
I was in 88 when I was 11. Now that I'm a little more grown up, now that I'm the same age as Mike Love when he wrote this song,
Right.
I think I'm a little more critical of it.
Okay. All right. I'm not there. I'm sorry, Frank.
Yeah. You're still just an 11-year-old boy in the
That's right.
Winchester here.
As the kids say, sorry, not sorry. Okay.
We are old, aren't we?
We are, because when I say kids, I think people in their 30s say that. So, okay. So they have this song. He knows about it, but Mike Love's going to Beach Boysify it. He brings in his friend Terry Melcher, who's been known to the band, the Beach Boys, since the 60s.
Yeah.
And they only were recently actually producing together in the 80s. But Terry Melcher has some serious pedigree in terms of his lineage. He's Doris Day's son.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in a band called the Ripcords, but he also produced Mr. Tambourine Man and Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of the hit songs by Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Oh, great. He also has a really unfortunate sort of history in terms of his friendship with Dennis Wilson in
Yeah.
the 60s and crossing paths with Charles Manson. And so that history is quite dark, and it sent him into his own sort of tailspin that he ended up in that orbit.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to Kokomo.
Yeah, so what are we supposed to do with that? We go from Charles Manson to Kokomo.
I know it was an awkward jump. I just didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's you can look it up.
Yeah, it's best left unsaid.
Yeah. Okay. Mike Love brings in Terry Melcher to rework Kokomo.
Yeah.
And so they change it to present tense.
Yes.
They clean up the lyrics pretty well. Like
A little less sexual.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little more PG sexual.
Sure. Because instead of saying making love on the sand, they say afternoon delight.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of understand what that means. Frank, turn off your mic and I'll explain it to you.
Afternoon delight.
Mike Love, in his own words, said they had their own verse too, but I made my own version to match the movie. And when we do our song analysis, we'll talk about how he was able to bring Cocktail into
into
the song.
Kokomo?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, and it's tough to because Mike Love's easy not to like, they do greatly improve the song.
Yeah.
In terms of what it is. And so what Mike Love brings to the table is he brings in the Aruba, Jamaica, Ooh, I Want to Take You, which is what everyone knows when they hear it. There is one of the articles I was reading said that if you go to any 1980s music trivia night, they'll ask, what were the names of the places mentioned in Kokomo? And it says everyone just grabs a pen and they know it because they know that opening because it's so memorable.
Do you think most of them also get Montserrat?
I certainly did not, because I will be talking about that when we
Yeah.
move it through. I did not hear that at all. But good call there, Frank. Terry Melcher brought in the following line. Ooh, I want to take you down to Kokomo. We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That whole part is Terry Melcher's addition to it, which is, to me, my favorite part, which is the Carl Wilson part. I think everyone likes Carl Wilson.
I think so, too.
He's the universal good guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful voice.
Yeah. Has quite the beard in the video, too.
He does. I feel like I might be approaching that beard at some point. How old was he? Shoot, he's going to be younger than us too, isn't he?
Yeah, Carl Wilson was 42 when the song was released.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Holy cow. All right, I'm going to turn off the mic here. I got to do some serious thinking about my life. All right, before we move into the song itself, let's talk a bit about who else plays on it. Apparently, some of these people were uncredited. Now that we live in a time of Wikipedia, all credits have been given.
So the Beach Boys themselves is Mike Love, Carl Wilson, Bruce Johnson, and Al Jardine.
Do you remember what each of them looks like?
No.
I mix up Al Jardine and Bruce Johnson.
No, I always thought it was just the Wilsons and Mike Love.
Yeah, those other two, when you watch the Full House episode,
Yeah.
you'll know them, but I always mix them up. But they're memorable faces.
Yeah.
Also, what gets me is that they looked like they were 50 in the 60s. The one guy looks super old.
Are you talking about like Bruce Johnson and Al Jardine?
Yeah, because I don't know which is which, but they
Yeah.
all look like they were dads of at least late teenagers in the 60s.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they still look that way in the 80s. Like they're like aged this in terms of they were already aged early.
Yeah.
And just kind of kept it up. I don't know. Because Mike Love wears that baseball cap and it really annoys me seeing people wearing baseball caps. This might be me as a teacher. Sorry, Frank, you're wearing a baseball cap now. But when I was in my early years, you weren't allowed to let kids wear anything on their head.
Yeah.
And every time I'd see a hat, I'd always say, take that hat off. So whenever I see Mike Love, I'm like, take that hat off. Anyways, I really feel bad because someone out there is like, Al Jardine means so much to me. I'm like, yes, there's Al Jardine and Bruce Johnson. I know what the two of them look like.
Yeah.
I can't tell you which is which.
Which is which, yeah. Well, it's just like the way I can't distinguish between Mike Love and Ron Howard.
Yes, because Ron Howard wears that ball cap that's
Yeah.
just like Mike Love's.
Yeah.
Except one's the good guy Superman and one's the bad guy Superman. Do you remember Superman 3?
No.
Oh, really?
I vaguely remember it.
Well, at some point, Superman somehow emerges out of the evil Superman. It's the good Superman, and they have a fight, and the good Superman chokes to death the bad Superman and sends him through like a junkyard grinder.
Oh.
Which wouldn't work if it's the bad Superman because he's still made of steel. You're going to
Well,
ruin
he's
all
not
those
made
machines.
of steel. He's just impervious to like earth things.
Strange, Frank, because I don't remember them referring to Superman as the man impervious to earth things.
It's a metaphor, Bill. He's not actually made out of steel.
Oh, you're still upset about the whole sun thing because he can just stick his face
Well,
right
yeah,
in the sun.
exactly.
Yeah.
I have to put on SPF 50 at night just to turn the lights on in my house.
All right, people on the song. We got.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go. Let's go back to this. We've been meaning to get there, and poor Frank's got a pocket, not a pocket full of kryptonite, but a pocket full of SPF 50 sunscreen.
All right, the additional musicians on this track are Ry Cooder.
Who's like a very well known musician.
Yeah, he played acoustic guitar, mandolin, and slide guitar. Chili Charles played percussion.
Mm-hmm.
Rod Clark played bass guitar. Jeffrey Foskett played acoustic rhythm guitar. Jim Keltner, who we talked about on the George Harrison episode, right?
Yeah, he's played on everything.
Yeah, he played drums.
He had this to say about the song. He said critics hated it because it's just so syrupy pop. But he said they couldn't kill the hitness of it. It's just a bona fide hit record. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I read that as well.
Yeah.
Vince Charles plays the steel drums. I'm wondering if he's related to Chili Charles, who plays percussion.
Okay. Because they put the same instrument.
Yeah, Milton and Mike, and it says surnames unknown.
That's a tough one because now we're kind of seeing that they weren't giving credit to a lot of musicians and didn't bother.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Milton and Mike played the steel drums as well. Van Dyke Parks played the accordion.
This guy's very important.
Yeah.
If you click on his name, I'm sure it's in blue there on your screen, you'll see what he's kind of famous for.
Like everything.
Yeah. He wrote the lyrics on a famously unreleased album, but a couple tracks, I think, made their way out.
Is that Spile?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. He also played on Silverchair's album.
Okay, let's not talk about that. But he was like a trusted sort of co-writer with Brian Wilson.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is interesting why they wanted the pedigree, so they brought him in. He claims that they brought him in to organize like the accordion and steel drum stuff, but then stiffed him on the plane ticket.
Oh, really?
Which is so fantastic.
Oh, geez.
And you know who he blamed?
Mike Love.
You got that right.
And then finally, rounding out the players on this is Joel Peskin, who played the alto saxophone, which has that bonkers awesome sax solo in this song. There are some redeeming qualities of the song, and that sax solo is one of them.
I'm sorry, Frank. It was pretty clear in the video it was Mike Love playing that saxophone.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. For the video, it was.
The amazing thing in that video, Frank, is that Mike Love's so good at the saxophone, he doesn't even move his fingers along the saxophone when he plays it.
Exactly right.
Ball cap still on, blowing the heck out of that saxophone. Should we jump into the song?
I think so, yeah.
All right, let's go to that intro.
Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you. Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? Jamaica, off the Florida.
It was tough to know where to cut it here, Frank, because you got the intro. And this is what I really like about this song. I know there's not a lot you might like about this, but I love how after Jamaica, they immediately jump to Off the Florida Keys. There's no space there, right?
Yeah, the intro is Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I want to take you. Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? Jamaica.
Right. And it feels kind of like there needs to be more there. And then it jumps straight to the song.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good instinct, I think, in terms of maybe I shouldn't give them so much credit. Maybe they figured this out in the studio and it could have been written differently, but it jumps right to it, which is great. Also, I'm wondering with the Montego part, is it Montego Bay or is Montego a country? Because I just know the song Montego Bay. I'm wondering if it's a play on words when they say Montego Bay. B. Why don't we go?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Montego Bay is in Jamaica, so maybe a little wordplay. Maybe Mike Love gets a little credit here.
Right. Well, also, I mean, he needs to keep talking about Jamaica because that's where Cocktail takes place.
Yes, that's right.
Well, they just name a whole bunch of places that I can't afford to go to. So there's elements of this that we talked about this on one of our episodes where we kind of get hoodwinked in our lives, or in the 80s especially. I think it was in the Cherish episode.
Okay.
That the dream place to be is the beach.
Yeah.
But sand is notoriously difficult to grow a garden in.
Yeah.
It's you're in front of water, which I guess is some primordial thing that draws you to it. But this idea of just sitting in the sun on a beach and doing nothing being this sort of picture of perfection.
Yeah, if I sit in the sun doing nothing, I don't do nothing. I burst into flames.
That's right. Look who I'm talking to. Of course, you're not going to want to be there.
Yeah.
You're going to be the guy buried in the sand where it's nice and cool and safe.
Exactly. But this song just reminds me of have you been to Montego Bay? You have to go to Montego Bay. It's so much fun at Montego Bay. Just name dropping.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't gone, you need to go. I know this place. You have to go. They do the best drinks on the beach you will ever have. That could be why I don't like this song as well.
Have you been to St. Martin, Frank? St. Martin's great. This reminds me of someone we know through like 2 or 3 degrees of separation in our city, who famously was in a magazine for a really like ritzy spa. And she said the following lines. life's too short for bad wine.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And that's all I think of when I read this. It's like that person is probably just grooving to this song.
Oh, yeah. Just loving
Oh,
it.
yeah. So this is sort of like post-yacht rock. It's not a yacht rock song because it doesn't have the LA players on it, despite this is like a California thing, but
Yeah.
it certainly doesn't sound yachty.
No.
But it does have the feelings of someone who would have loved yacht rock.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to verse 1. Let's
Yes.
do this. Off the Florida Keys, there's a place called Kokomo. You can hear those steel drums going.
Mhm.
That's where you want to go to get away from it all. Bodies in the sand, tropical drink melting in your hand. We'll be falling in love to the rhythm of a steel drum band down in Kokomo.
Jamaica off the Florida Keys. There's a place called Kokomo. That's where you wanna go to get away from it all. Bodies in the sand, tropical drink melting in your hand. We'll be falling in love to the rhythm of a steel drum band down in Kokomo.
There isn't a Kokomo just off the Florida Keys.
No, and is Jamaica off the Florida Keys?
Well, if you go far enough off the Florida Keys, yeah, I
Guess
think
so.
so.
So is
Like Cuba's closer.
Cuba's closer.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess an American songwriter won't want to reference this.
No, probably
No.
not.
Okay. There's not a lot to analyze in these lyrics,
Yeah.
right? It's a pretty literal, even though it's a figurative place. Bodies in the sand, tropical drink in your hand, falling in love to a steel drum band. Well, it is a sort of magical place.
Yeah, and I know the song is derided and looked down upon and everything. This was the big comeback song for the Beach Boys, like 22 years after their last #1 hit. And we didn't get into this necessarily, but they had hits in the 60s when they were in their 20s. They went on the like oldies tour doing
Pretty
like,
early.
Yeah.
And, like it must have been only a few years outside of being in the Beach Boys. They were still doing interesting records. There's
Yeah.
one called Holland that's pretty interesting that I was
Yeah.
listening to at home, but they dropped off quick.
So they were doing like state fairs and stuff like that and those types of tours. So, one of the bigger bands in the United States, and they're just doing like the fair circuit
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They come back with this yuppie rock song.
Oh, yeah.
In my mind, I could get behind this song a lot more if it was like a cautionary tale. Living the life of fun on your surfing safaris.
Right.
Now you and Barbara Ann, you end up in Kokomo, but Kokomo's in Indiana and you're working your dead end jobs because
That's good.
that's the life that you lived and this is where it led you to.
That would be interesting. What does the Beach Boys look like when you're in your 40s where you have to come to grips with paying a mortgage? And also, you have all these girls, but you end up with all these kids. Right?
Yeah.
There could be all these sorts of things. So instead, they're not singing about what life is like now in your 40s, but what life would be like if you were just totally rich and older.
Yeah.
And now you're going to resorts instead of just checking out girls after a high school.
Sock hop.
Yeah. It's more. Now, I like the song, but there's a pathetic quality to this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But Frank, let's not get too negative here. We got to jump into that chorus. So the chorus is very similar to the intro, but we get Carl Wilson giving us the goods.
Oh, yeah.
What do you feel about that, Frank? Because I know you're not a huge fan of the song, but when you hear Carl drop, ooh, I want to take you down to Kokomo. We'll get there fast, then we'll take it slow.
Like I said, there are some redeeming qualities of this song. The sax solo, which we'll get into. The Carl Wilson stuff, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Carl Wilson is lovable.
And he kept his voice.
Yeah.
So that's incredible for the amount of drugs that I think they took. I mean, Brian lost a lot.
Yeah.
But Carl kept it there.
Yeah.
He's doing all right. I don't believe there's much to analyze there lyrically.
Yeah. So it's just Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego. Baby, why don't we go? Ooh, I want to take you down to Kokomo. We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow.
That's a pretty good line.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. We'll get there fast. We'll take it slow. That's where we want to go. Way down in Kokomo.
Yeah. Right off the Florida Keys, right beside Jamaica.
Yeah.
Down in Kokomo. Aruba, Jamaica.
I like that you could hear Mike Love's bass going there, and then Bruce and Al are doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're just looking the same.
That's right. They look the same but different. But
Yeah.
one of them's Bruce, one of them's Al, and the harmonies are there, and it sounds great. And there's nothing quite like it. I wonder if they didn't do the State Fair circuit, if they'd be able to be a Rolling Stones touring thing. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And this is the other thing. I know we should be talking about lyrics here, but Mike Love is so adamant that they're equal to the Beatles. He said the only difference is they were better at advertising themselves. He said Sgt. Pepper's had a great cover and Pet Sounds didn't, and that's the difference between those albums.
Oh, I do like Pet Sounds.
Yeah, I guess I do. I like 2 songs on it. I don't even know the rest of it. Like, I know Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Like, I could listen to Sgt. Pepper, which isn't like my favorite thing,
Yeah.
but I know those songs. But I could listen to like Beach Boys stuff and like, well, I like the greatest hits.
Yeah.
And the secondary greatest hits, they have a lot.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah. They were pretty prolific when it came to releasing
Right.
stuff. And all their songs were like super short too.
Right.
It was all about having fun.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to misheard lyrics. I'll read it and you tell me what you thought they said. Martinique, that Montserrat mystique.
Martinique, that Montserrat mystique.
I have no idea what I thought that they said, but I didn't have any idea that Montserrat was a place.
I think I heard Martinique, but then I heard that mounts a rotten stink. That's what I thought it said. And I thought that was a really strange comment.
I think that they were singing something about mountains. That's what I probably thought.
Okay.
I never really paid too much attention to the lyrics because it's just, a geography lesson.
Well, here's verse 2, and verse 2 is rewritten for Cocktail specifically. Because just to read the original verse 2 lyrics from the Phillips version, just her and me and the flying fish above the sea. Everybody's trying to break loose from gravity. Technicolor nights coloring Kokomo. Making love on the beach while the locals do the go-go down in Kokomo. And now here's the new one. We'll put out to sea. We'll perfect our chemistry. By and by, we'll defy a little bit of gravity. Afternoon delight, cocktails, and moonlit nights. That dreamy look in your eye, give me a tropical contact high. Way down in Kokomo.
We'll put out to sea, and we'll perfect our chemistry. And by we'll defy a little bit of gravity. Afternoon delight, cocktails and moonlit nights. That dreamy look in your eye, give me a tropical contact high. Way down in Kokomo, Jamaica.
Now, I feel verse 2 is much better, the Mike Love version. Like,
Yeah.
there's no question. But he does take a lot of highlights from verse 2 and cleans them up a bit. Instead of making love on the beach, they just speak about this thing called Afternoon Delight.
Delight.
Yeah. And then he doesn't talk about the go-go, which isn't his style, but just cocktails and moonlit nights. But I like that because you got the dreamy look in her eye because it's a moonlit night, which is kind of a neat sort
Yeah.
of picture. Also, they talk about the gravity, right?
Yeah.
And so in the original was everybody's trying to break loose from gravity as though this was a thing to do. I don't. What does that mean to break loose from gravity?
I
That you're
don't
being held down?
Yeah,
I
you're
guess so.
kind of floating up. Maybe you have that sort of euphoric feeling. You're
Right,
floating
right.
on air, walking on sunshine, as
Oh,
Katrina
whoa.
and the Waves would have
Yeah.
said.
But in Mike Love's version, it's much happier because the other one's like everyone's trying to break loose from it.
Yeah.
As though you couldn't do it. But
Yeah.
he says, by and by, we'll defy a little bit of gravity.
Yeah.
You know why? Because right before that, he said, we'll perfect our chemistry. Now, I'm no science major, but I feel like he's mixing up chemistry and physics. Because physics is the gravity thing, Frank. They're
Yeah.
going from the negative 9.8 meters per second squared and trying to move themselves up into the air.
But they're only defying a little bit of gravity, not all of it, because they don't want to just sort of float off to the stratosphere. Because once you get up there, the air is pretty thin. You don't breathe, and you just suffocate.
All right. So maybe they just want to walk on the moon.
Well, you can't because there's no air there unless you have like a spacesuit.
Right. And that's tough
Yeah.
to sip your pina colada.
Exactly. NASA really hasn't perfected the drinking apparatus in those spacesuits.
Life's too short to walk on the moon. We can't have fine wine. Am I right, Frank?
Exactly.
I really like verse 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Mike Love credit. I don't know if you're going to give him any, but I'm going to give him the thumbs up there.
Well, I'm going to say that there's a even more sanitized version of verse 2 out there.
Right.
The line gives me a tropical contact high. The Muppets clean it up even more and say, under a tropical island sky. Now, the Muppets have this unique ability to take a source material and make it better.
Yes.
Like Christmas Carol, way better when it was done by the Muppets as opposed to Dickens.
Okay, Frank. We're going to put that in the parking lot. I love the Muppets. I also love Charles Dickens. And that wasn't cool.
Charles Dickens was the Mike Love of English literature.
Wow. Okay, Frank. All right. I don't even know where to look. This is taking a turn. You're doing a heel turn right now, aren't you?
Afternoon delight, cocktails and moonlit nights, that dreamy look in your eye under a tropical island sky, way down in Kokomo, Jamaica.
Well, it's good. I'm glad the Muppets did some good work there because, I mean, I was surprised with Mike Love because he definitely derides the Beach Boys stuff about drugs. And then he writes about getting a contact high, but I guess he's saying he gets high on life.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. What am I trying to do
Yeah,
here?
you're trying to convince me here, Bill.
I know, but I'm not even convincing myself.
I know,
Thank goodness
right?
for Kermit the Frog to fix
Yeah.
this thing.
There's
Okay.
a place called Kokomo.
We're going to chorus next. We're going to skip that over, Frank, because it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, except at the end of this, they say, Port-au-Prince, I want to catch a glimpse. Port-au-Prince is in Haiti.
Yeah.
I don't think Haiti was
Haiti's never had a
tourist
shot.
place.
No. So it's just, he's just dropping names. And like right now, Port-au-Prince is very tough to be in.
Yeah. Apparently Montserrat is too, because it got decimated by a volcano.
No, Frank. There's a undercurrent here that's been talked about in, do you remember Grantland, the website?
Yes.
It's great. But underneath this whole song is this sort of colonizing move where you have these people singing about places they want to go, but they're ignoring the locals.
Yeah.
Right? Port-au-Prince, I want to catch a glimpse. And then it goes to the sax, though. Right, Frank?
Yes.
We're all in on this.
Oh, yeah. All about the sax.
Port-au-Prince, I wanna catch a glimpse.
And then verse 3, as I began the whole podcast with, everybody knows a little place like Kokomo. Now, if you want to go to get away from it all, go there. Go down to Kokomo.
Everybody knows a little place like Kokomo. Now if you wanna go and get away from it all, go down to Kokomo.
So we all get included, even if we can't afford to go to Jamaica, Aruba, or Bahamas.
Yeah. So we all have our own little Kokomo.
I think, well, we covered verse 3 already, but the idea that everybody has a Kokomo is so kind of him after talking about all these amazing places to go to that are way too expensive for most people to go to.
But they do the most amazing drinks on the beach, Bill. Let me tell you.
Oh,
you
man.
haven't really lived unless you've gone to Kokomo.
Here's the thing, Frank. You and me are all about the people, right? And I feel like a lot of our people are like you and me, where we don't get to go to Kokomo very much.
Well, I don't because I'm allergic to the sun.
That's right. You do like dog sledding in the Yukon or eating rotten shark in Iceland and all that stuff, right? But
fun stuff.
Yeah. I just try to get Elijah to bed by 8:30 and I fail at it miserably. And I realize I'm not going to Kokomo, not anytime soon. And even if I went to Kokomo, Elijah would just tear up that beach. I'd be just terrified. He'd be trying to ride a shark or something. That's all I could think about. All right. And the song just goes to chorus and repeats. But I have written here, this is the key to the song, that Aruba, Jamaica the Mike Love thing, and then the Carl Wilson,
Yeah.
which we're all a fan of.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going and going and brings you back to a place. Like, are you you're not listening to this in the car because your dad's going to try to turn this off and listen to Guess Who? Is that right?
I think my dad wanted to like it.
Right.
I don't think that he did, though.
It was one of those success stories, right? And I think this is what people felt kind of like with Free as a Bird, but Free as a Bird is
that's
a lot
terrible
worse.
song.
Like, okay, what's worse, Free as a Bird or Kokomo?
I think Kokomo's worse.
No, absolutely not. Free as a
wrong.
Bird is worse, Frank.
Is it? You know what? It's been over 20 years since I've heard Free as a Bird.
Yeah, that's a good reason. All right, how about this? Kokomo, Freak on a Leash.
A Freak on a Leash, that's way better.
Okay.
That's the high watermark of songs.
All right, Frank. Let's try some more things to push it to the edge. Kokomo or Wonderful Christmas Time?
Oh.
I just want to see where we can take you. That's where you want to go, Frank.
Okay, so I have to pick Kokomo or Wonderful Christmas Time? I pick neither. I just give up on music at that point.
All right. What if, when you're picking neither, We Built the City comes by? Which one would you choose?
Like, am I in hell in this scenario? Because this is hell for me.
Yeah, okay. We got levels of hell, though. We got 3 levels. Is Kokomo closer to the middle ground where you might have a shot at kind of getting out?
Yes. Okay. Kokomo only because of the redeeming factors of Carl Wilson and the sax. And maybe the vibra slap that comes in right at the beginning of the song.
Okay, fair enough. Because your hatred for those other 2 songs I mentioned were much more pronounced in the episode.
Yeah.
And I feel like you don't like the song, but you don't hate the song.
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Because hate is too strong a word that I wouldn't waste that type of emotion on this song. I nothing this song. How about that?
All right.
I nothing it.
Let's say we subtract Mike Love from it, and it was written by Michael Bolton.
Oh, yeah. That's an amazing song.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the video here, Frank. Did you rewatch the video?
I managed to make it through it once. That was this morning before I went to work. I think that's why I was sick at work all day.
I only did it once too, because I watched it so much in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this already, but for some reason, Mike Love felt he had to be the guy playing the saxophone.
Yes.
Or the director. I felt that was a bad move because I feel like the saxophone player deserves more credit.
I don't know if you knew this, but the director was actually Ron Howard.
That is not true.
No.
Okay, nice try.
Ron Howard played the sax, though, in the video.
Now I can believe that.
Yeah.
Now we got John Stamos playing percussion.
Yeah.
Which he did not play on the song at all.
No.
Jim Keltner is somewhere out there. No one knows what he looks like. Oh, well, I guess he was in the Wilburys, right?
Yeah.
We saw him in the videos. Okay. Stamos is there. Do you remember why John Stamos is there? Did you read about why Mike Love picked John Stamos?
Well, they were friends, but he was hiding backstage on one of the soaps. What was
General
it? General
Hospital.
Hospital, right? And it just trying to stay away from the throngs of girls who wanted to meet him.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, the Beach Boys probably had that back in the 60s as well. So I think Mike Love felt sorry for the guy and said, I'm going to be your friend.
I feel like it wasn't sorry as much as he's like, yeah, man, that's me too.
Oh, yeah, probably.
It was filmed on the Florida's, one of those
Was
resorts.
a Disney resort.
It was a Disney resort.
Before
That's
it
right.
opened.
Yeah, that's right. Why do they call it Florida? I just think of Disney as Florida.
Yeah.
Like, they don't separate it too.
Yeah. Florida is just all Disney. That's it.
Until I saw the movies Moonlight and then the show Bloodline,
Oh, okay.
made me feel differently about Florida.
Yeah. So the band and the crew for the video were some of the very first patrons of this resort.
Right. I guess that fits. It's totally fake.
Yeah.
I like Disney World. I haven't been there since 1989, so I don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
I'll never get there again. It's my Kokomo,
Yeah,
Frank.
it's your Kokomo.
It was kind of like a Kokomo for me because they had these like machines that could spray paint sweaters, and I got a Donald Duck sweater.
I
When
don't understand how that works.
Well, it was just like
Like an airbrush thing.
yeah, but it was like a machine that did it,
Oh.
and then it turned on everybody,
Well, yeah.
and we all got spray
'Cause
painted.
it's Terminator.
Not everyone made it,
Yeah.
but I would wear that Donald Duck shirt with so much joy and pride, not realizing I was going into a cruel, cruel world of junior high where
Yeah.
Donald Duck shirts were not accepted.
We're not as cool as we thought.
Yeah, but look who's cool now.
Us
Yes,
and Donald Duck.
exactly.
We should have him on as a guest.
I don't want to invite a lawsuit from Disney, Frank. I don't think we can have him on as a guest.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'll look for that shirt.
Yeah.
There's not much to say about the video. He
No, it's just them singing to a bunch of bikini-clad girls while there are clips of cocktails sort of
Right.
interspersed throughout.
It certainly works. I saw that video tons of times.
Yeah.
It's very watchable.
Yeah, and John Stamos playing the bongos and steel drums.
Exactly.
Yeah. He definitely wasn't Milton or Mike.
Exactly. That leads us to Beach Boys Bingo, Frank.
Okay.
Did you watch any of the Full House episode?
Oh, I remember seeing
Yeah.
it back in 88 or 89 when it came out. Yeah, absolutely.
I rewatched it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the whole thing. I found like clips. No one posted the full episode, so I saw someone who kindly just posted certain parts of it,
Yeah.
which is fair enough. And it reminded me about how unfunny the show was.
Yeah.
But I'll give you the synopsis.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the premise of the show?
So the Beach Boys were supposed to come on Danny Tanner's like morning, because he's a morning show
Yes.
host, right?
Yeah.
But Rebecca was his co-host, wasn't she?
Yes.
But she's not on that episode, strangely enough. And the Beach Boys are supposed to be coming on, and he loves the Beach Boys, and he's all eager about it. And I think they end up canceling.
Oh, okay.
Now, Uncle Jesse is a huge fan as well.
Yeah. From Jesse and the Rippers.
That's right, exactly. And Joey is a fan too. And at this point, Jesse and Joey have like a songwriting kind of thing together.
Oh, yeah. I
Because they were
remember that.
jinglers.
Yeah.
That sounds like they were criminals. They wrote jingles.
Yeah, they were jinglers. I like that. I like that term. I think we need to coin that a little bit more.
So in the episode, DJ ends up winning this contest.
That's right.
Right?
For tickets.
Yeah, so she gets one and another, but she can't decide who to bring.
Yeah.
Should she bring Uncle Jesse or her daddy?
Or Uncle Joey.
I think Uncle Joey's never really in the mix. I think it's between the two.
Why wouldn't she bring her best friend Kimmy Gibbler?
Well, that comes up in the show too, because
Oh.
she said she'd go roller skating or ice skating with Kimmy Gibbler.
Probably roller skating.
Yeah, San Francisco ice is tough to skate on.
Yeah, this is before the San Jose Sharks. So
Correct. So that's a thing. And then this also reminds me of how bad the show was, even though I watched it religiously.
Oh yeah.
Both Uncle Jesse and Bob Saget, we'll
Yeah.
just call him, give DJ a ton of trouble. He might be the worst father ever.
He might be.
Yeah. If Elijah wanted to take you to like a Phil Collins concert,
Yeah.
I wouldn't overtly act angry. I might go for a walk
Yeah.
and then just glare and stare in the side of the room in darkness.
It's okay. We'll buy you a t-shirt.
Thanks. So in the end, she can't decide and decides to like let them go themselves, and then
Oh,
they
okay.
won't go, and she's not gonna go. She decides.
Was she even a Beach Boys fan?
I don't know actually, because it didn't show up in the clips
Yeah.
on YouTube. But right after she decides that she doesn't want to go to the concert, the Beach Boys end up showing up at the house.
Yeah.
Somehow knowing she doesn't want to go, despite it not being advertised.
Yeah.
They knock on the door, they're in the driveway, they call, and Stephanie says that no one's home, and it's a big joke, and they have to go down and get the Beach Boys in. And then they all kind of ham it up. It's tough
Yeah.
to watch.
Oh yeah.
Mike Love seems like he's still kind of a bad guy. Like
Yeah.
they have him say these sort of like sarcastic lines. Brian Wilson is almost certainly disassociated for half of it.
Oh, okay.
Al Jardine and Bruce Johnson,
You
those
can't
two,
tell the-
I can't tell
yeah.
the difference, but they're happy. They're there, and they got their lines. And then Carl Wilson plays guitar and sings, and
Yeah.
we all like Carl Wilson,
Yeah,
so I don't have
exactly,
anything bad to say about him.
Yeah.
So in the end, they have a Beach Boys huddle where they get together and they all start singing. And then they decide to invite all of them to the show.
Oh, see, the Beach
Yeah.
Boys are good guys.
That's
Even
right.
Mike Love. I bet you Mike Love was the only like no vote.
Well, there's a moment where Uncle Jesse wants to give his tape to Mike Love
Oh, okay.
because Uncle Joey says to give it to Mike Love.
Yeah.
And before he does, he has it in his hand. Mike Love says, "Oh man, I'm so glad to be here. It's not like you're those people who just give me tapes of songs I don't want to hear." Like, that's the real Mike Love.
Yeah.
You're such a jerk.
Yeah.
Uncle Jesse just needs a chance.
Yeah.
So they sing Kokomo together, and it transitions to the Kokomo concert.
At the concert.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then they
okay.
sing Barbara Ann.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. I like
So there you go. There's a full show for you, Frank.
Yeah. That was basically the Hallmark movie then.
There is a Hallmark movie. It's a DJ trying to make a decision.
Yeah.
Instead, she just takes Pavel Bure.
Well, no, it's Valerie Brewer.
Oh, it
That's
is.
who she's married to.
Oh, man. See, I was doing so well there for a while. All right, we got the Hallmark movie then down because we just went through the long Full House.
Yeah.
We talked Cocktail a bit, but you told me info I didn't want to know. I'll finish Cocktail next week.
Yeah.
And let you know what I think.
I feel that your retelling of the Full House episode was actually longer than the actual episode.
It's true. It's true. All right, next category, Frank. Mixtape.
Mixtape.
All right. I got a lot of songs on my mixtape.
Okay. Mine is relatively shortish.
Okay, so then I'll kind of follow your lead today.
Okay. So I went just with strictly beach feels or beach theme songs.
Great.
And I'm a little bit all over the place. So I start with Beyond the Sea by Bobby Darin,
Great song.
Under the Boardwalk by the Drifters,
Oh, yeah.
Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett,
Very good.
Island in the Sun by Weezer. And then I finish it all off with California Girls
Oh, Katy Perry.
by Katy Perry.
Yeah, that's great. I kind of did the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Mine was subtitled Life's Too Short for Bad Wine.
That's awesome.
All right, first, Escape, the Pina Colada song.
Rupert Holmes.
So
Yeah,
I
that
feel
almost
like-
made it on
yeah,
mine. Yeah.
That feels like perfectly set at Kokomo.
Yeah.
And then to be a bit more on the nose, Key Largo by Bertie Higgins. If you get the Yacht Rock station, you'd hear
Oh,
it.
okay. Yeah.
It's a special.
Gotcha.
one. Okay. Montego Bay by Amazulu. Do you remember that one?
No. not at all.
Montego Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you sang it so exactly like that.
Exactly. All right. What number am I at here? That was 3.
3. Yep.
Hands Up. Baby Hands Up.
Oh, nice.
Ottawa. And then, I gotta pick a song to end that with. Man, there's so many to choose from. And I'm gonna end with a song that isn't cheesy at all. And it's a bit more sexy, Frank.
Yeah.
Close to You, Maxi Priest.
That's such a good song.
Yeah, so it brings us back to the 90s.
Yeah.
But man, what a tune.
That is such a good song.
What a time on the beach. Also, I mean, they talk about like romps on the beach. That's a lot of sand.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable. I don't think. I mean, I know it exfoliates and all that stuff, but I don't think it's pleasant.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it's dirty.
I think so too. So the song, for whatever it's worth, was a #1 hit.
Yeah, made it for 1 week in November, which is
Yeah.
kind of a surprise that it took that long.
Was it also in around the same time as Don't Worry, Be Happy?
No. I think Don't Worry, Be Happy came before it, but that
Okay.
also went to #1.
Yes.
Did we do an episode on Don't Worry,
No,
Be
we
Happy?
haven't. No.
Why haven't we?
I don't know.
It's a great song.
Yes, no, absolutely. It's a great song. It's a future episode. But what was the top 5 when
All
it
right, here we go.
peaked here?
I'll start at number 5.
Okay.
Your love is like bad medicine.
Yes.
Kylie Minogue's Locomotion, number 4.
Oh, okay. That was like early Kylie Minogue, obviously.
Yeah. Future, number 1. Groovy Kind of Love, Phil Collins.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And then Wild Wild West, The Escape Club. Remember that
not
one?
the not
Wild
Will
Wild
Smith?
West. No, not that one. But I remember that Escape Club song.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Kokomo, Beach Boys, number
Okay.
1. Kokomo only went to number 4 in Canada.
Really?
Yeah. Interestingly, in the Stereo Gum article that Tom Bryhan wrote, he talked about how In Excess went to number 10 in the States. And
Yes.
that song was like perfect.
Yeah.
But In Excess went to number 2 with, did I say the song? I didn't.
No,
Never
no.
Tear Us Apart.
Never Tear Us Apart.
Bum,
Yeah.
bum, 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 bum,
Yeah.
bum, 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 bum. So in Canada, we preferred Never Tear Us Apart, but in the States, they were all about Kokomo.
Take you through Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby. Why don't we go down to Kokomo? We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down to Kokomo.
Well, Frank, we did it. We did Kokomo. I thought you would be a bit angrier, but you were a bit more sedate about your hatred of this song. So I feel like, well, are you ready to say it? You like Kokomo.
I think maybe I've become a little more mellow in my autumn years, Bill.
Yeah. All right, let's try that again, though. Frank, I think you like Kokomo.
No.
Okay, if you had the option and Kokomo existed and it wasn't in Indiana, but it was off the Florida Keys, would you go?
No.
Okay, let's say it was paid for you. Would you go?
Only if I had, like, my entire check baggage was sunscreen.
That's right. I forgot about that. I would totally go. I would go right now to Kokomo.
Oh, I know
Just
you
please
would.
get me there.
Yeah.
Get me to Kokomo. But in lieu of being at Kokomo, you know what, Frank? Of all places, there is a little place that's kind of like Kokomo for me, and that's the Winchester. That's the place where we record our episodes for the people we care so much about, our listeners.
You're right, Bill. The Winchester certainly has that Montserrat mystique.
It does. So, dear listener, I hope that when you listen to our episodes, that by and by, we'll all defy a little bit of gravity on Bill and Frank's Guilt-Free Pleasures.